1. Leader of men. The dimorphism is so immense that even weak men start acting feminine toward you, let alone women. They fawn over you, admire you, and follow your footsteps. There is a good reason for that. A man retaining semen tells his body to reabsorb the life that already has been created inside one's body. When released inside a vagina, that life energy is converted to a human being with proper nourishment. Such is its power. Nothing can replace this fluid of life. A man's seed is irreplaceable. We think we understand sperm and that it is only a bunch of vitamins, minerals, glucose, protein, and the sort. If that's the case with all the science we have today, why could we not manufacture human sperm in the laboratory? Mind you, we can manufacture an artificial womb in a test tube and nurture babies through it, but not the seed. A retaining man sends a message to his body to reabsorb the sperm cells. The body thinks the host cannot donate semen in his current form. Reabsorption brings life back to its host. The reabsorption starts upgrading the skin, the prefrontal cortex, hair, overall fluid energy, and regulating hormones that in turn enhances the host physically and mentally, but still limited by its genetic and evolutionary parameters. This spare energy takes a lot of forms. It manifests itself as charisma, wit, courage, audaciousness, physical health, and many other things. Personally, it feels like a 24/7 high I used to get on a double espresso shot when I had coffee. The rest of the world, including weak men, notice this energy difference between you and them. They get immensely curious and are attracted to this mysterious energy bubble around you, wanting to know your secret. They flock around you and follow what you do. Want to reciprocate your actions. Ask about your workout routine, what food you eat. 2. Relationship. My relationship with myself has improved enormously. I certainly have stopped talking about my intentions and making internal plans for myself. Best of all, following through with these plans. If I cannot keep my own secrets, I do not expect others to keep them. So I keep my mouth shut and become a man of action. Let my actions do the talking. It has some negative effects, though. I have become comfortable with the awkward pauses in a conversation and I do not reinitiate it. This usually makes the other party want to talk to me more and keep talking. My GF has been having some health issues, and Doc suggested she refrain from sex for a while. My relationship has improved a lot despite the lack of sex. Not only my girlfriend but other women have started respecting me more. The best thing is, I do not feel necessarily good or bad about it. It is what it is. I am indifferent toward the treatment and validation that senior brings. All in all, I do not feel dependent on my relationship like before. I used to feel like talking about bad days with my so and share my excitement about good days. It's my GF who shares all this stuff with me while I listen and nod. 3. Self-care. I have started taking care of myself aggressively and with surreal urgency. I would procrastinate on certain things like cold showers, flossing, etc. Now I just do it without anticipating the pain. A cold shower won't kill me and make me feel 1,000 times better is reason enough to jump in and muscle through the first few shivers. I have noticed an overall increase in self-concern, self-love. The very first relationship you harbored when you came into this world was and is with your body. Your primary relationship is with your body first, and everyone else second. Your mind and your body deserve your love more than anyone else. Treat it with very high regard, with utmost attention and care. It is your best friend, your lifelong partner, and you can only experience the world through it. Hence, be aware of what you put inside your body. Along with retaining semen, stop eating processed food, read the labels. Stop eating all added sugar. Get acquainted with all the bad ingredients. Eat vegetables. The food industry cares about profit, and hence, retaining the customer. The only way customers are coming back is if the food product releases a large hit of dopamine in their bodies. Dopamine hits are only possible with a concoction of a certain ratio of sugar and fat, usually found when certain sauces and cheeses combined, which is very unhealthy in the long term. Even the healthier options contain a heck ton of sugar, fat ratio to keep you coming back. They know dopamine controls the customer, even if the customer knows it's bad for their health. They still can't control their cravings. They are in a vicious circle of reliving the memory of their first dopamine hit from these foods. Even the sugar-free sauces have extra sodium to compensate for the lack of taste, which is equally as bad. The food industry does not give a shit about its customers' health. Heck, it even greases the economy because first you pay for the slow poison and then to the hospitals for the treatment. The #1 cause of most deaths in the NA is obesity. I am sure more countries will follow suit as the fast food industry grows even more. By the time you turn 45, the variety of food you will be able to consume will be cut to a quarter of what you can eat now. In another decade, it will be 6.5% of the variety you could originally consume. In old age, it's your body that is by your side and on which you can depend. Cherish it. 4. Muscle growth. I did not work out for almost 45 days. Because the gyms were closed, I did not have enough protein during this unfortunate gap. But yesterday I found out that my push lifts have increased by 150% of what I usually did while releasing, and that I could do even more reps than before. I was literally flabbergasted. I have read a lot about how muscle growth works, and I thought I had pretty much all of it figured out. I was dead wrong. I mean, I was expecting a loss of strength because I didn't exercise. Instead, I am breaking my PR. For instance, pre-senior but consistent workouts, my overhead military press was 70 pounds, then failure. On senior, my OHP was 70 pounds and I could have definitely done more sets. Yes, I did 6 sets just because I wanted to check when I will reach failure, except that I didn't. I had to stop because of time constraints. I still had the strength to spare. Shoulders are my weakest muscle group. I can only imagine how my leg strength might have been affected. Earlier, I attributed most of senior benefits to psychological changes. This has majorly shifted my perspective and led me to believe that was not the case. Senior works primarily on a physical level. It is not a placebo. Senior is essential for muscle growth and fat loss, even more than a protein shake. 5. Awareness. I should have put this one at the top. Your body gives rise to attention. Attention is the single most powerful tool that puts human beings on the apex of the survival pyramid and on the top of the food chain. Humans have no other thing going on for them except their ability to think without emotions. I for one feel grateful for being born as a human, better yet as a man. I feel fortunate I do not lose vitamins, minerals, life energy, blood like females do every month. Painfully. This life force leaves all females' bodies without her consent, and there is nothing she can do about it but endure it. We are different. We can endure the craving and reabsorb that life within us. We humans have a unique ability to distance our emotions from our thinking process. For thoughts saturated with emotions are often called instincts. Impulses. Instincts are one-dimensional, non-complex, and shallow. If I have to give an analogy to explain the difference, I'd say impulse is brute force and critical thinking is surgical. Only a thought devoid of emotion carries the potential to be deep, logical, complex, intelligent, and wise. Our ability to think with indifference makes it possible for us to accomplish complex tasks and sit at the top of the food chain. Without critical thinking, we are the same as any other animal in the wild. Even inside the human race, we can notice this disparity in the food chain. People who act on impulse, druggists, criminals, etc., they belong to the very bottom of the human hierarchy. Similarly, people with highly developed intellectual capabilities like Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Einstein, Nikola Tesla, who were far from being impulsive and animalistic, sit near the top. People like these do not need daily motivational quotes, because they are motivated intellectually through internal dialogue, not from their ideas or from their emotions. Motivational videos and quotes elicit an emotional response in the majority of humans. That is emotional motivation, and you cannot depend on emotions at all. I can't imagine Steve Jobs or Elon Musk masturbating violently for feminists 6 times a day, then coming up with the smartphone idea or the electric car the same evening. Can you? You see, these guys distance their emotions from their thoughts. Their urges have no control over their intellect, and hence their actions. My point is, meditation trains indifference and stoicism inside you. Let me first explain the process of meditation scientifically. You sit down doing nothing but watching your own breath, not even thinking. Monotasking, like breath watching. Sooner or later, you find yourself occupied with certain emotional thoughts of the past or worries of the future. Through practiced alertness and conscious effort, you remain indifferent to these thoughts. You build indifference toward any emotional thoughts arising in your attention space. When you are indifferent toward the thought of someone or something, you eventually become indifferent toward the object of thought. This is called willpower. Before relapsing physically, you relapse mentally first. Willpower simply means the power to talk yourself out of doing vicious, unconscious, recurring emotional action or impulse through logic and reasoning. This dialogue usually happens sometime before the physical relapse and after the mental relapse. The triumph of reason over emotion is called willpower. The triumph of vision over instant gratification is called wisdom. Eventually, you distance your thoughts from emotion, and your thinking prowess becomes penetrative. intuitive, and higher than the average Joes. Of course, a person not on senior will not be able to meditate because they will be carried away by the emotional thoughts and brain fog in not more than 2 seconds into it. You need at least 2 weeks of retention, if not more, to properly be alert and have the energy to stick to the monotasking of watching the breath and not getting distracted. Personally, I also train my attention in empathy and loving kindness meditation. Humans are capable of immense compassion and love for others, unlike other animals. Donating and giving to others is one way to have a purpose in life. Empathy meditation alters the structure of your brain and increases your EQ tremendously. Empathy is not a weakness. In the New York Times best-selling Chris Voss's book, Never Split the Difference, he talks of various hostage situations and negotiations that happened within the U.S. in the past which were only possible because of empathy training of the FBI. Empathy doesn't mean you agree with someone's ideology. It only means you understand their situation by imagining their perspective through personification.